the intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Hey Star Trek fans, welcome back to the channel today. Coming a little bit late, and I want to apologize for that kind of first of all. For those that don't know, I have another YouTube channel, and back in the day, I actually used to cover the NFL professionally, writing for The Athletic. Well, I actually am going to do some more work in the football area this year with Bleacher Report. I actually just did something with them. I'm going to be doing that throughout October. So it took up a lot of work today. Apologies for that. But this is my football channel. If you've never seen it, I do cover the New Orleans Saints. Is what I did professionally, and now it's just kind of a fun hobby. So apologies, but don't worry. That will not affect the Star Trek content for Star Trek Infinite coming out. For those that missed it, October 6th on my birthday stream on Twitch, I will be doing some preview of Star Trek Infinite, which is a lot of cool, fun. But today, we're getting into one of my favorite pieces of content that we haven't done in a while. Bad crew videos. Yes, they're back, baby. We're going to hit you with it and talk about why certain crews are no bueno. And it's important to kind of go through some of these PvP crews and technically a mining crew because, as y'all might be aware, territories are getting an overhaul. And when territories get an overhaul, that means that we need to cover crews. So in this one, let's take a look at why 5, Hugh, and Maro simply don't work. And the easy way to do that is to cover how they actually work. Now, Maro is a fantastic officer. We talk about her all the time, and thankfully field training now lets you go after Maro, which is really, really beneficial. We go over that all the time in Discord, especially the new Discords, showing players how effective Pike Maro is. So I'm not trying to say that it's not, but in terms of in this situation, you now have 2 mitigation officers. What I mean by 2 is if we sort by group right here, you're going to get under your board crew. Remember, it's literally what 5 of 11 does. 5 of 11's captain's ability is increasing mitigation. So Maro's doing the same thing, but the drawback is, well, technically Maro's doing the same thing in a different way. But the drawback is here, the whole reason that Maro is so great and why at tier 3 she guarantees max mitigation is the combination of Pike, but that's not here. That it doesn't mean that Maro is trash, but it simply means that she's not as OP as we talk about her being because she's not properly paired with somebody. And then you do have the below decks, which I don't mind for acting and hostile grinding. Then the kind of curious part of this is to add in Hugh. Hugh, who is literally the best PvE officer in Star Trek Fleet Command today. Below decks. His officer ability is an impulse speed boost, completely irrelevant to what you're trying to do in your acting and grind. All he does is give synergy to 5 of 11, but he would be far more beneficial below decks. That is where he's powerful. His ability to create criticals. We talked so much lately about the power of criticals in Star Trek Fleet Command, and it's made even more powerful lately by isolytic damage. But all that aside, Maro is not amazingly strong in this situation because she lacks, just saying it how it is, she lacks the Pike effect. And we've gone over that a lot. And then 5 of 11 is fine there, but pairing her with Hugh is a little bit of a negative. So damn them, damn that man for making me say something negative about Hugh, because I love Hugh, but who uses him for impulse? I mean, the primary impulse crew is not even that one. But anyway, let's move on to another one. We have a Voyager out here mining with Kirk, Spock, Rom. Now, this one's kind of a little bit different because it's not necessarily bad. And what I mean by that, and I'm sure there's going to be YouTube commenters coming through here in just a second, but Hugh is obviously a below deck only guy. Kirk Spock is working here, right? For those that don't know, the Kirk Spock combination is mostly playing on the Spock aspect where you want to get the shield regeneration. Now, I've said this before, and I want to reiterate this very, very loudly and publicly for those listening. If you have a 4-star ship, 4-star and up, Kirk Spock no longer matters for you. Do not put him on those ships. Kirk Spock as a shield regeneration method is only effective for 2-star, and 3-star ships because shields get so high. Look at the shield numbers on these Voyagers, right? 3 million, 1 million. That's way too much for even a max Spock with max 100,000 stats below deck. Is still not going to be properly regenerating those shields. So you don't really have much of an effect there. Now, Rom is not a terrible card, I guess. If we scroll down here, we'll get Quark. I called him Rom. They're brothers, so it happens. Take everything you have, increasing mining speed by 100%, which is fine, I guess, except that's not super effective in that space, as in it's not super effective in Voyager space for Voyager mining. You're just not going to get much of a boost from that because it's all based on the research that you do for the Voyager to make it better in its mining speed. So just flat out, I get where you're trying to go with this, but it's like this type of player just needs a little bit more of an education, like a little bit of a nudge here from content creators, alliance members, etc. They have the right idea, but it doesn't apply that way because of all the percentages and stuff that we have in the game. But it's not a bad idea, and I want to give credit to them thinking like outside the box. Actually, you can tell that player has read the game notes. But let's take a look at this one. Strange New World Spock, Beverly, and then Lorca. Now, this one, I'm very curious if they were hostile grinding and had Hugh below decks, because that could be a maybe with Lorca, right? Combining criticals and hull breach is a very common tactic, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that strategy. So if you are that player and you were doing that, let me know. I don't have the below decks on this set, but we still have officers to talk about. For example, Picard Beverly Crusher, who is not a bad card, I guess. I'm not really gonna say anything negative about her. She's a beautiful lady. Look at her. She's absolutely stunning. But officer ability is critical condition. Increases critical hit damage by 4% every time your ship is hit by an attack while fighting non-armada hostiles, and is cumulative. So again, if Hugh is below decks, this maybe works out, but again, she's not super strong in that way. I mean, I've got a tier 2, and again, 4%, even cumulative, most of the fights that you're getting to aren't lasting that long. When we talked about how she was secretly valuable, we talked about secretly the broken parts had valuable below decks. If you're out hostile grinding, throw her below decks if you got the deck slots and get more ship parts, right? Because you need a lot of those in 4-star and 5-star to turn in your refinery. So if you get more, that's fantastic. But as an officer, again, curious, not terrible. Like you can see where they're trying to go, but just maybe just a little bit off. And then you get TOS, but you get Strange New World Spock. And not a bad pull, because this is specifically boosting those explorers right there. So attacking interceptors when on explorers. So they were hostile hunting at Hugh below decks. They're very close to being a strong crew. I would swap out that Beverly for somebody else, and I see where they're trying to go with it. However, I would add just a little bit wrong. Just tweaking. It just needs some slight tweaking, ladies and gentlemen. So it's not terrible, but it's a bad crew nonetheless. But thought went into it. But let's just go ahead and make it kabusha bad. Like, just what are you doing? Somebody's hot swapping with their miners on their Titan. Hi. But I did want to show, since we were talking speed earlier in the video, the one on the left is probably the best speed crew in the game right now. The one on the right is curious. Let's talk about who we have. We have Fluffy, who I actually love. I usually use him mostly in away teams, but he has a great set of stats. Yeah, Fluffy. You look at him and you just go, ooh, stats. That's what everybody does, right? Anyway, click on Fluffy, roll it out here. You see boosting to mining speed. So not a bad thing, except you're on a Titan. And I guess you don't expect people to really roll out with fantastic crews when they're using the Titan. You're just using it for its ship ability maybe, but still, even hot swapping, when you talk about crews, the 100% or 120% for me mining bonus, I love to talk about this because it's very important to talk about context. And 120% of a mining bonus is basically nothing for a lot of purposes these days. I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm simply saying that maybe the value is better as a stat stacker or in your away teams packages. You're not getting a ton from that ability. Now you have another one over there who I do like in 2 of 11, hard to source, but you're doing a bonus to crystal, gas, and ore mining, which is fine, but why not him as captain, which is increasing your cargo size of the ship. 2 of 11 is actually who I use on Voyager for 2 of 11, and then I'll have Stan, and then I'll have Borg Stan for max cargo. Now, there are other ways that you can actually do that, but a captain's ability in terms of boosting your cargo size is probably a little bit more valuable than a Barrett, even though Barrett is specifically to help you speed up that grind on your crystal. So again, though, it needs synergy, though, because by himself, he's only 40%. And what did we just see with our main man down here at 2 of 11? Well, he's given 50% at tier 1. So yeah, you are getting a bonus there, but would you rather have the more cargo size, especially for you servers out there that don't do token space hunting? I know they exist. It's not really my style, but I recognize they exist, and that's completely fine. Or would you rather have that small bonus with no synergy of Borg Barretts? Even from a mining crew perspective, there are ways that we can improve that mining crew, and it's on a Titan. So it had to get included. So this video, I wanted to be very educational in terms of, hey, here's a couple of miner crews that need some tweaking. Here are a couple of PvP crews that need some tweaking, and all of this is going to be very relevant for when you're mining more isogen and when you're doing more territory battles. So I'm here to help. Now, if you have questions about specific crews and stuff, drop them in the comment section down below. But while you're here, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Let people in your alliance know they can come to me if they need any help with the game. I definitely want to help you out. I think it was server 102 was asking about doing a town hall. So if your server's interested in that, we can do that as well. I appreciate all of y'all. Who dat? That's my Saints channel. I mentioned it earlier. Live long and plunder. Get the hoodie. Deuces, that's me. Hope you'll have an amazing rest of your day, and I will catch y'all on the next one.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.